I want to talk about Hegseth. That's why I brought Tushy on, because Tushy, we go a ways back. We were Ron Paul guys in 2012. Actually, you were in the 2008 campaign as well. We went to the state convention, and this is where we got to learn about Pete Hegseth for the first time, a guy I don't think had really gotten involved in politics before then. And he ran for the U.S. Senate. And the way that I describe Pete Hegseth running in 2012 was he was running a 2004 style campaign in 2012, which was clearly an economics year. And so he lost. And of course, you and I were probably both very sympathetic. And of course, in my case, actually helping and working with the Kurt Bills campaign at the time, because I really believed in this economic message. You know, Kurt obviously became a big disappointment and was probably the worst performer against Amy Klobuchar. Not, 8 points behind what Royce White just did?
Mm-hmm.
But
more than that, like 10.
Yes, but at least was on message, right? Embracing the issues of the day. And at that time, Pete Hegseth was like promoting war with Iran and Iraq and all that kind of stuff. He just seemed to be the neocon establishment choice. I mean, I don't think it seemed like it. He was the establishment choice in that endorsing convention.
He said that he wasn't involved in politics, but I mean, he obviously has the same resume, the same type of Joe Tayrab type resume, with the military stuff and also the law degree from Ivy League school. And
no, he doesn't have a law degree. He's got a master in public.
Okay, yeah,
he's got policy.
He got a degree from Ivy League school, and then he goes in the military as an officer and goes to Guantanamo Bay or whatever. And they give him this resume, to run for office, right? So, and he was a member of the CFR. And I was trying to look this up in light of the show today. Like, I don't know, they don't just have membership rolls posted or anything, but he was a CFR member as like a, I don't know, 30-year-old or whatever, right? How does one get in the CFR at such a young age, So
and he's referring to Council on Foreign Relations, which is basically a neocon organization.
Yeah.
Right.
So and we see Pete Hegseth as a tough guy, tough man out there interrogating these people in Guantanamo Bay. But we know, Jake, don't we know that he has the softer side as well? Have you ever seen Pete Hegseth cry?
Have I?
You didn't see when he lost the endorsement?
Dude, I honestly don't remember this.
Yeah, he shed a few tears. I'm sure the establishment people told him, like, you're our guy, you're gonna get in there. And it's like he was like last place behind Severson and
well,
Bills.
he did beat Shudlick.
Yep, I think so.
I love Harold Shudlick. I wonder what Shudlick is up to these days. Well, okay, so let me just throw this at you, and you push back at me if I'm not right on this one. So like I was saying, a couple things have hit me recently. J.D. Vance is younger than me, right? Which means he's younger than you, too, because you're a little bit older than me, Douchey.
Yep.
So he's going to be the vice president of the United States of America. Pete Hegseth, about same age, would have been in my peer group. I was looking at his resume. I think he got commissioned a year or two before me. So one of my closest friends.
About as well.
What's that?
And the lovely Tulsi Gabbard that we just talked about as well.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. That's right. Tulsi Gabbard. And Matt Gaetz is my age, right?
Yep.
And my friend, one of my closest friends, Jeff, was a commander. It was a second company command. It was like an HHC unit, and he handed over command to Pete Hegseth. So technically, I guess, he was already a little further advanced in his career. I think at that point I'd already gotten out. I'm thinking, I can't remember. Yeah, Jeff probably was in that command position right when I got out. Jeff stayed in just a little longer. Actually, he got in later than me, so we probably had the same amount of time in service. So, it just hits me like these guys, and this is actually good because we've complained a lot of times on this show. These people are all old. And so now they're going a new generation, new leaders. I was Bomb Saddam in college. I was holding that sign. I was mistaken. And then my eyes got opened mostly to actually what I witnessed overseas, but then also just from some of the the thinkers like Ron Paul, who had a great track record of calling the bullshit of overseas intervention. Obviously, Pete, who had already been to Iraq at that point, did not have that viewpoint. Now, he went to Afghanistan. Well, no, I think he just got back from Afghanistan. So he hadn't had that viewpoint yet. But it does seem to me he's developed into America First guy. So let's go to this, Dawson. I want you to pull up, let's see, C2. And I put this on my Twitter account. This is from the Sean Ryan show. I mean, where's the guy stand nowadays? I don't know. Let's go to a 2-3 hour podcast where he lays it out with a former Navy SEAL guy, Sean Ryan. Let's go ahead and play this.
We only have one Defense Department. What's the option? Abandon it? And so if every patriot abandons it, what does it look like, and how is it utilized in the future in ways that are far more nefarious than foreign wars, where we get entangled and we end up trying to nation build for 20 years?
When's the last time we actually went to war to fight for our freedom?
We won't even defend our southern border.
Should we have been in Iraq?
I was a huge proponent of it at the time, but in retrospect, absolutely not.
So was I. I don't think we should have been there.
Yeah.
I think that was all for Cheney and KBR, Halliburton.
I've been a recovering neocon for 6 years now. Like, the foolishness with which we ricocheted around the world, intervening, think it was in our best interest, when really we just overturned the table and created something worse in almost every single scenario, has led to almost, I mean, the hubris of the Pentagon is that they want to now tell other countries how to do counterinsurgency based on what we did in Iraq and Afghanistan. So you're right. That the trust there that our political leaders or our generals would have our best interests in mind is totally broken. It's totally broken. I acknowledge that completely. And the last thing I want is my son deploying to the Donbass to defend eastern Ukraine. Mm-hmm. I'm with you too. At the same time, I'm fearful of what happens when the institution gets abandoned completely. And maybe it feels like the public school argument, like, hey, if we take all the Christians and people of faith out of public schools, then they're really going to go, yeah, but you got to save your kid, right? And I'm going to save my kid. And that's the view. It's just there isn't an alternative right now to the United States military. If Trump does win and goes at it, I think it might be our last sort of chance to save this institution and turn it back to what it was, because it is a top-down organization. You put a SecDef in there who's focused on all the right things, get rid of all the things that are described in the book, and focus on warfighting, lethality, and training and standards, real standards, not equity, but equality. Mm-hmm. You can do it. There's still the core there, but I share all your, I mean, what has Washington shown us in the last 20 years that we should trust them with how they'll use our young men? All
right, Dushy, so he's saying he's a recovering neocon. He thinks Iraq was a mistake. He doesn't want his son, and by the way, I agree with Pete on this, is you need to save the institution of our military, which has a great history, great traditions, although it's very wrongly led in the last decade for sure. So you got to save the institution, but it shouldn't be Ukraine. His son should not be joining the military. And some part in that discussion they were talking about, I don't know if I would even have my kid go into the military these days, which I just said on the show earlier. So is there a chance that this guy is, I mean, he spent the last decade on Fox and Friends, which is the one show on Fox News that's very friendly. Well, I guess Gutfield is too, but it's been a Trump-friendly show, right? Trump really likes Fox and Friends, by the way. So is there a chance this guy's actually seen the light?
Well, I don't know. I suppose there is a chance, right? It can happen. It could happen that somebody sees the light, and it can happen that somebody changed their behavior because they realized what's best, you know, even if they haven't seen the light, right? So, but definitely with what he said, he's actually calls himself a recovering neocon, and he actually, most politicians won't admit to that, right? If you ever ask Paul Gazelka, well, do you ever regret any of the compromises you made? Do you ever regret any of these votes that you took? Like, he will never regret anything. Ron Creech, these types of people, they'll never they'll never admit that they did anything wrong, right? And so it's the admission is actually really nice that he says he's a recovering neocon and he's taken a new position now, which he kind of has to. But it's like some of these politicians, that they have when their party's in power, they hate the filibuster, but when the other party's in power, they love the filibuster. They'll just change their position. So he's clearly taking the right stance right now, which is if his job is to do what he's told by Trump, basically, then okay, then that's a possibility that he'll do what he's told by Trump rather than by the CFR. And like I said, I would like to see if he's still a member, and there's, as far as the U.S. military and having to you have to save the military, otherwise we don't have a country. There's very few things that the federal government is supposed to do, and one of them is to have a actual military that could defend the country, right? And so if you have, you don't see, I'm sure, any of these other major countries like Russia or China having all these transgendered officers, and you know what I mean, like having. You know what I'm saying, right? Like, yep. This is, it's not going to be advantageous for the U.S. military if we go super woke and super leftist, And so, even if just for that sake alone, to preserve the military as actually, and I guess, yeah, one thing I've seen a number of places in the last couple of days where Pete Hegseth has even talked about not having women in combat.
Well,
roles,
I'm glad
right?
you brought that up. So let's go. Yeah. Let's pull up the C3 here, Dawson. This is some fake news. This is what we do on the show, is we expose the liars in the corporate media. CNN being the quintessential corporate media. This is Caitlin. Scroll up there. I want to get the original thing. Caitlin Collins, who's just a nasty person, a nasty woman. You are a nasty woman, Caitlin Collins, says Trump during his debate with her. I'm sorry, town hall. Still seemed like a debate. This is her interviewing Tammy Duckworth. This is what it says. This is Caitlin Collins' Twitter account. Veteran Senator Tammy Duckworth and Pete Hegseth saying women shouldn't serve in combat. Quote, I would ask him, where do you think I lost my legs? Go ahead and play the first minute of this clip.
There are millions of women who have served in the U.S. military, as you know, as someone who has not only served, but you're also someone whose helicopter was hit by an RPG. You lost your legs and partial use of your right arm because of it. What did go through your mind as a woman who has served when you heard him saying that women should not be in combat roles?
Well, he's shown that his absolute lack of experience and his lack of suitability for the job, because anybody that truly knows the military knows that we cannot go to war without over 225,000 women who are serving on active duty right now. Our military cannot go to war without our female service members. This is not the Revolutionary War where there's some sort of a line in the sand and, combat is on one side and the rest of us can stay behind this line, and that's not combat. I would ask him, where do you think I lost my legs? In a bar fight? I'm pretty sure I was in combat when that happened.
All right, go ahead and stop it there.
It just shows
Isn't she is basically the female Jesse Waters, is she not? She is like Jesse Waters, but a woman.
Jesse Waters?
Yeah, from Fox News.
You're saying Tammy Duckworth or Caitlin
No,
Collins?
I'm sorry. Caitlin.
Oh, okay.
Caitlin Collins.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't she remind you, like, all the same... It's like the same person.
I don't know. I don't mind Jesse Waters.
I don't know. I've never been the biggest fan, but
yeah, I don't know.
They look like the same
was loyal
person.
To Trump.
Well, yeah, I could see Fox News doing the same thing to take it some out of context. But let's go back here, Dawson. What did Pete actually say? Just so you know, Tammy Duckworth was a Black Hawk helicopter pilot, and I think she got hit by an RPG. The bird got hit by an RPG, and so that's what ended up leading to her losing her legs. What did Pete actually say? Go ahead and play this.
I'm not even talking about pilots. I'm not talking about pilots. I'm not talking about the ability to, I'm talking about physical labor intensive type jobs. So
shooting
maybe you're
people
talking
in the face at close distance when it's very personal. That's the kind of stuff you're talking
SEALs,
about.
Rangers, Green Berets, MARSOC, infantry battalions, armor, artillery, if strength. I'm talking about stuff that would need strength is a differentiator.
Yeah.
Pilots, give me a female pilot all day long. I got no issues with that. I'm not even talking about pilots.
All right. Give me a female pilot all day long. Like, literally, was not talking about people like Tammy Duckworth. Look at just how phony CNN is. This is why they call them fake news, by the way. They don't even care and bother to listen to what someone actually said. Now, I think Pete has a great point as someone who served in combat arms, as an infantry officer, actually as an infantry soldier, because I was enlisted before then. It's not a good idea to have women in combat arms. It just isn't. There's two main reasons, okay? You know, one, and everyone knows this, men are stronger than women. You know, I remember ROTC, there was like the hand grenade range. There was no, other than just the PT test. Like women do, I think their max push-ups are 19, whereas the men's is like, or minimum standards is like 19, and men are like 38. Like it was like more than double or something like that. It's tremendous. Somehow we have the same ab strength, so I think the sit-ups are the same. But men were faster. Everyone knows this. I mean, come on, it's just so obvious. It's why the Olympic standards are different, right? Mm-hmm. But I remember the hand grenade range, and I just never saw a woman throw it. I don't know why women can't throw like men, but they just can't. And obviously they don't have the muscular strength in their upper body that men have. And so, you know, throwing a hand grenade a long distance is actually a very damn important job in an infantry unit. You know that? I hope you know that. The max effective range of a grenade. You want to make sure you throw it past the max effective range of the grenade. So anyhow, that's the obvious one. You know what? The one that's not so obvious but doesn't, I mean, everyone should know that once you put women with men, you have to make accommodations, and you have problems with people sleeping around. The accommodations are different changing rooms, different restrooms. That's the stuff we have to worry about with the guys on the front line. That's a dumb idea. I could give you lots of examples why that's a really dumb idea. But even more importantly, they're going to sleep together. When you have everyone that works a corporate job knows people hook up, right? I remember ROTC summer camp. It was about the only time I was with, like, I would say it wasn't a majority of women. It's still probably, 70, 80, 20 or something like that, men. But a lot more women in ROTC. And then all of a sudden you're on a field problem and everyone's hooking up. I mean, that's what happens. By the way, they call it skookum lovin'. I was telling Jesse about that on the pre-show. Skookum lovin' for all the ROTC, former ROTC members. And so you're just going to have this. It's one of the reasons sexual assault's growing in the military, just FYI. When the commander-in-chief, Bill Clinton, will get a blowjob in the Oval Office from an intern who works with him, right? Why would you expect it to be any different with the regular Joe in an infantry unit? By the way, if it's fine for the commander-in-chief, isn't it fine for the lower? It's not a good idea. It's a terrible idea. We don't have to do it. The only reason you would rationalize those people, like, because this happens in corporate America, and I'm not making the argument women shouldn't be in corporate America. They obviously enhance corporate America. They have skill sets that help out, but they don't necessarily on the combat in combat, in the sense that they are physically not as capable of men. Tucci, am I wrong on any of this stuff?
Well, I mean, I don't know that you're necessarily wrong. I provide a little bit of counterpoint, but again, not being in the military, I can't speak to some of it. But yeah, for sure, like you said, in corporate America, I mean, these people, a lot of people they have spouses at home, they have girlfriends, they have people around, and yet they're still having affairs with people that they work with. You know what I mean? So it's all that. I can't even imagine what it's like you're married to somebody, you got a girlfriend that you're away from for 6 months, a year at a time, and then you got a attractive woman right with you all day long, right? But like in corporate America, right, people get hired for jobs, or supposedly they should get hired for their jobs based on their ability, right? So if you got men, women, black, white, whatever else, as long as people are getting hired based on what they're able to do, then they're able to do the job. They're there on their merits, right? So, when you say, I think you and also Hegseth, it's a generalization that's true, like over overall, right, that women are not as strong as men. It's like the average woman is less strong than the average man, type thing, right? So,
and it's not even close, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. So theoretically, a workaround would be to say, well, everybody's got the same standards to follow, but then that really does not at all change the problem of like the different genders.
Right, and by the way, the standards are not the same. The PT test, the physical training test, is different for women.
Exactly.
So why that doesn't even make sense? Like, why would it be different if it's the same capabilities? But yeah, as you're alluding to, is even if the physical standards are the same, you still have to compete with the idea that it's going to hurt morale. And the other argument against, because I'm once again not making an argument against women out of the workplace, right? Which is a relatively new thing in the last 60 some years when you had reliable birth control. Because otherwise, before then, women were not in the workforce like they are today. And so the other argument here is that I can't remember where I was going to go with that. Jeez. Good job, Jake. What were you going to say, Tucci?
Women aren't conscripted, or is that still a thing? I'm not even...
No, they're not required to sign up for the draft, nor do I even believe men should have to sign up for the draft.
Well, right. It's insane, right? I mean, I had
I'm sorry. I remember what I was going to say. Unlike corporate America, this is like real dire consequences. Like in corporate America, I'm not trying to undermine, your profitability is less than what it could have been, right? Okay. But the consequences of the job in corporate America pale in comparison to the consequences of war, which is death or, people being severely injured. So that's a massive problem. Oh, also, in terms of readiness for soldiers, imagine STDs being a readiness issue and pregnancy. And that is actually a real thing, pregnancy overseas. Women get pregnant over in combat zones.
Yep.
So,
I'm seeing a few comments here. I just want to hit them on Pete Hegseth here. So, it is lovely, says, too many rabid Zionists picked already, hoping it's a big head fake. Scuba McSalty says, just another politician. M. Bauer, 44, thought the hand gestures that Pete Hegseth was doing were kind of girly. Scuba McSalty says that he went to the Walls School of Public Communication learning those jazz hands. Let's see here. Billy22 says you shall know them by their fruits. And let's see here. It is lovely. Agrees with you guys. Agrees with you, Jake, on women being in combat zones. Thinks it should not happen.
No, one thing I was thinking, lovely says women should be in combat arms.
Should be. Oh, I misread that.
But should not be in politics.
Oh, okay.
That's a very interesting take.
Interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting perspective right there.
By the way,
one thing I was thinking on Pete Hegseth, he might be the first Department of Defense director that has tattoos. That's a little odd. And one thing,
the new age, right?
New age, yeah. And then also, I know the media is going to go after him for the hand washing comment. He says he doesn't wash his hands after he goes to the bathroom.
When did he say that?
Oh, that's out there. I mean, he says he never washes his hands.
So that's disgusting.
So Trump, it's an odd choice for Trump. Trump might not be shaking his hand after some deep decision.
Wait, where does he say that?
Dawson, Google Pete Hegseth washing his hands.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, how about Rachel Levine? Look at that.
Oh yeah, yep. Rachel Levine. Yeah, that's a trooper right there.
Yeah, what is Rachel Levine's job? I can't even remember.
Google
doesn't wash his hands.
Right away.
Okay, well let's look this up here. Hold on, go back up. Did Pete Hegseth say germs aren't real? Public say that he doesn't wash his hands.
Maybe the independent one, independent.co.uk, right above. Trump's defense secretary can't remember washing hands once over the last decade in bizarre resurfaced footage.
What?
You don't remember this?
I remember seeing that.
No, I literally must have been in a cave.
Here,
Jake,
hold on. Let's hear the actual comment here.
I don't think I've washed my hands for 10 years. Really, I don't really wash my hands ever.
Help me!
I don't think I've washed my hands for 10 years.
Okay.
Really, I don't really wash my hands.
Hold on. Is this a joke? Is this like a bit?
Yeah, that's good. I mean,
hold on.
It's just not. Germs are not a real thing. I can't see them. Therefore, they're not real.
So you're becoming immune to all of the
I'm guessing this is a joke.
Get sick.
Right?
he's being a little sarcastic, but there's obviously truth behind it. You know, he
germs
wouldn't be
obviously
saying that
aren't
if he did.
real.
If he was an avid hand washer, he wouldn't say that. You know?
Whatever.
I'm saying there's no way that
This
he
sounds
washes
like
his hands
fake
every time.
news. That sounds like he is
said it.
telling a
He said
joke.
it.
What are you talking about?
Oh, I can't see them, so germs aren't real. Like he really believes that.
Well, yeah, the germs thing, I think he's exaggerating for sure on that. But the hand washing, you know,
But
that's
I think that's an extension of it.
Well, I think that him saying, I don't wash my hands, germs aren't real. That seems pretty...
Okay, I wanted to move on to the last segment and go to the post show, but now we have to get to the bottom of this.
Well, germs
go back
are
to that
real.
page here.
Germs
I
are
think this
real.
is fake news, guys. I'm going to say I don't believe this.
Fake news.
By the way, what is your before we get to the
well, he says he was joking too.
that sounds like a joke to me.
I would too.
It's partially a joke, but
He's not a
there's
professional
truth
comedian,
behind
so it's not
jokes.
like he does a great job. Get off this site. What are we doing on this site? We already saw there.
Jake has this fantastic ability to watch somebody say something and then be like, they didn't mean it. Like, what? You just saw it.
No, I don't
You
know.
mean I can't
think
detect
he was-
sarcasm? Is that what you're saying?
That didn't sound like sarcasm to me at all.
It was a mix.
Well, yeah,
it was a mix.
we don't
of
go to you for
sarcasm and
comedy.
truth. I mean, I think that Pete Hegseth isn't Mr. Wash Your Hands. I'll tell you that.
I don't know.
Oh wait,
Yahoo News Canada?
Canada. Ugh.
It's goofy.
Guys, I really think. Well, is there a longer bit of that segment, or they've all clipped? Yeah, hit that one. Go ahead.
Good Lord. 10 seconds.
As I told you, my 2019 resolution is to say things on air that I say off air. I don't think I've washed my hands for 10 years. Really, I don't really wash my hands ever.
Help me!
No, I inoculate myself. It's just not, germs are not a real thing.
true.
I can't see them, therefore they're not real.
So you're becoming immune?
I'm just saying that sounds like a joke, guys.
He's partially joking, but it's also,
I think he's not partially joking there.
Why would he make that joke if it's not something that he's actually thinking about?
Was this
Of
during
course, he's
COVID?
actually thinking about it. I wouldn't. You know, we met him that one time. I found out about the handshaking after the fact. And I was
was
like,
at that
great.
Shake his hand.
I did shake his hand.
I did
you
not
know.
shake his hand because
Disgusting.
I was being silly, I guess.
You know, I hope he does a great job, though. I hope he actually is a recovering.
So what are
Neocon.
you thinking? Are you liking this appointment? This was so.
I'm willing to give it
This
a
was
chance,
such
yeah.
a weird appointment. It
Right.
was so bizarre. No one knew what to think, except for most people were just against it. And then all of a sudden, Matt Gaetz comes, and it's like, oh well, Hegseth seems pretty mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Right. Well, and yeah, Tom Tillis, which was one of the guys that said he wouldn't vote for Gaetz, says he will vote for Hegseth. I'm going to give Hegseth a chance. I mean, I don't have the most crazy expectations in the world for him, but he's probably going to be better than some of the previous ones we've seen. So, you know, especially, you know, even over Mattis. You know, Jim Mattis is this, you know, well-respected, but, you know, he was corrupt when it came down to it. So I'm willing to give Pete Hegseth a shot at this.
Razzle Dazzle says Hegseth considered local story. That's a reach, Jake. Jeez, we cover national stuff too. Take it easy on me, Razzle Dazzle. Hegseth married 3 times. I'm sure he's working on number 4 now or soon. That is actually a valid case. Personal life issues, big issues. By the way, the incoming commander-in-chief also married 3 times. Just FYI. So if we're going down that road, it doesn't look good for Trump either, right? I think you probably should love your wife and stay with your wife. I think that's a good thing, especially when you have kids.
Yeah,
Stay with your wife.
It is lovely. Says that it was a typo. It is lovely. Doesn't think women should be in combat zones after all. So
And obviously she's
Not in
making
politics, not in
making fun
combat.
of the fact that women vote obviously more to the left. That's why she's saying it. That's a joke as well, Dawson. Or am I reading too much into it?
I just think you're bad at jokes. But it's
Oh,
funny.
I'm bad at jokes. You can't even tell the humor. And Pete Hegseth.
You walked into Am I a Racist and called it a 10 out of 10 movie. Like, that's
Yeah, for its genre, it was 10 out of 10.
embarrassing.
No, it's not.
That was
a great movie.
Bad humor.
That movie is so well done. I'm dead serious. That movie is so well done. I don't think I gave it 10 out of 10. Didn't I give it like a 9?
You said like 8 times that you give it a 10 out of 10.
No, what did I
was
say
like,
on the
"There's no
show?
way."
Didn't I give it a rating on our show?
I don't remember.
I think it was like a 9, 9.5 or something like
so
that.
you're walking back on the 10 out of 10 you gave to me? That's good.
Whatever.
You're working my way.
Whatever.
I think I gave it a 2.
Yeah. See, you don't understand comedy. You said you laughed twice during Am I Racist?
And one of them was really, really funny. It was the
Did you watch
goofy
till after
face.
after the credits?
Did I watch the post-credit scene? What was the post-credit scene? I can't remember.
he called the bookstore to ask for that book, but he couldn't say the name of the book. Because he said it would make him triggered, and then he said it rhymes with trigger.
Oh, that's not very fun either.
Hold on one second. I'm gonna just tell you how Dawson has no humor.
Jake,
where was
what
this?
was the? I can't remember. I'm too sick to figure it out.
Okay, here we go. Dawson, I want you to pull up D5. D5. This is the graphic. If you've seen Am I Racist, the funniest part on Am I Racist was when he's giving this instructional class at the end, and he wants people to put up on the board where they fall on the racist scale.
Yeah, I think this was the funniest part to me as well.
But the fact that you act like it wasn't, it was like laugh on the floor,
It
like
wasn't a
I
10 out of
lost
10
it.
comedy.
Scoo McSalty asks, what is a 10 out of 10 comedy, Dawson? What's an example of like a comedy movie?
Great question.
Dumb and Dumber, like, you know.
What is it?
That's Dumb and Dumber.
I wouldn't give them a 10 out of 10. I'm just giving an example.
Gosh, there's a lot of comedy movies. I would have to think about it.
Give us one.
I am a really big fan of like the Borat movies. I thought Borat 1 was so. When I first saw it, I was laughing like crazy.
Okay, so you're not that far off.
I'm going to agree with Dawson here. Sacha Baron Cohen is an absolute genius, and everything he's done has been hilarious.
He's really funny.
Well, he's a genius at comedy. Politics, he's clueless.
Oh, of course.
But that's the thing. He knows he's just putting on a persona. You know, a lot of these celebrities do that. They just say what they think they need to.
You mean they act?
Or they get paid to say it. You know, I mean the Kamala Harris campaign. That's
I know. I really want to dig into the.
I know
the
where they're
truth on
getting
that
millions of dollars. All these people. It's like they don't have any natural support. They can't get these people to just And Trump wasn't doing that. He wasn't paying people to come to his rallies. They were coming to his rallies because they wanted to support him. So it shows how desperate the Kamala Harris campaign was because they had to pay for support.
Scroll down. It's on the left side. Mort just sent this to me right there. There's the "You Are Racist" on the far left. I don't know if that's just a random black guy or if that's somebody. Then it's Rachel Dazzle or whatever her name is. Then Abe Lincoln. Then Trump or Ku Klux
Abe
Klan.
Lincoln's in the middle.
Isn't that funny? Well, remember, this is the leftist viewpoint, right?
Yeah, the point that I thought was hilarious was when whatever that one guy said, I can't remember the line exactly, but he said, "No, I think that's ridiculous," and then Matt Walsh walked up and moved his all the way to the KKK line. That was
that's right.
Was goofy.
All right. So what do you think, Tushi? You remember from 2012? You've seen some evidence here that maybe he's a recovered neocon. What do you think?
What do I think of the pick or what?
Yeah. Well, what do you think about Hegseth? Do you think there's a chance this guy's gonna be good?
Okay, so well, I don't know about good. So what is his role? How much does he get to control what the foreign policy is versus would he just be somebody?
He'll be advising the president of the United States, and the SecDef is a pretty big advisor.
Right. Well, I mean, if it's in terms of things like
well, he can fire people.
What's that?
He can fire the generals. He
Right.
can fire a lot of the military generals that are doing the wrong thing.
I actually don't know if that's true, to be honest with you. I think I wouldn't be surprised if the president has to fire the top brass in the military.
If he's trying to get rid of the woke standards and have better policies about females in combat and things like this, then he could do a great job. If he's like advising as far as foreign policy about which countries you should go to war with, then I still don't trust him, even though he has said the right thing. It's up in the air whether he's truly reformed.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I mean, I think I'm with you there.
I looked it up. It looks like the president or the Secretary of Defense or the commissioned officer of the Coast Guard or whatever can fire military officers.
Well, yeah, but
so I'm sure it comes to a certain extent of where his line is drawn, where it goes over to Trump, but he will have some authority.
Standards, then perhaps we could also get some extra military efficiency.
That I can't imagine the SecDef actually firing top brass in the military without consulting with the president.
Well, sure, but I mean, with consultation with the president, I'm sure, because I'm thinking there was the vaccine mandate where obviously that was in connection with Biden as well, with the Department of Defense. So. And
Pete talked about the problems with the vaccine mandate in the military. So if he was SecDef, maybe that wouldn't happen.
Yeah, well, I'm sure.